So George Galloway has won a huge victory with 40% of the vote. He won more votes than both the Tories and Labour combined, which is astonishing. Now, here are the election results for Rochdale since 1997. You can see there's sort of a baseline of 40% or so. Now, of course, by-elections have lower turnouts. Now, lower turnouts will show a smaller amount of votes nominally, but usually percentage-wise, it's roughly the same or near enough. But look at that drop. Corbyn won 51% in 2019, and it dropped all the way down to 7% under Keir Starmer. That is embarrassing. Now, it's abundantly clear why George Galloway won. Rochdale has a large Muslim population. George is obviously strong on Palestine. He's also a well-known figure. I think some people will report this in the media as some kind of new shift in politics, a new wrinkle in politics. It's not. George has been known for a very long time, from the late 90s to the early noughties. He's won on a smaller party ticket before for, I believe, Respect Party. So this isn't anything new. Now, Labour have been utterly pathetic. It was their seat to lose. So if anyone wants to blame George Galloway winning the seat, it's Labour. Now, the media reporting during the last week on this seat has been poor, to say the least. But one piece of reporting that really stuck out to me was Bylines. Now, they did a piece on him, a video piece, where they said that George Galloway wasn't targeting Muslims, and then they did a so-called expose that shows that he did target Muslims. So what? What is wrong with that? That is democracy. Now, no one has ever complained about targeting people in an election ever before. I mean, in fact, one of the mainstream media's favourite talking points is the white working class. I mean, everyone bangs on about it. Even the smaller right-wing parties talk about the white working class. The media say, are the white working class forgotten? 50% of the conversation around Labour is them needing to appeal to Conservative voters. So why is it any different for Muslims? It's almost as if the media doesn't see them as real people, but rather as cannon fodder. Now, with the constant dehumanisation of them in the media, that's no surprise. George had every right to target these people. There's been a lack of strong voices for Palestine in Parliament. Now, I can't talk about George Galloway without sharing my personal opinions, which some of you already know. George isn't a good guy. I mean, he's not someone who should be idolised by the left. I even question if he's actually on the left. Now, he was fantastic on Iraq, not just his position, but his oratory skills that no one matched. He can make mincemeat out of the likes of Andrew Neil, who's an incredibly aggressive interviewer. I mean, many politicians, MPs, have been eviscerated by him. And then, of course, he's incredibly strong on Palestine too. However, George is a social conservative. He's a transphobe who rails about the woke agenda. Now, given the amount of shit that's thrown at minorities, the amount of shit that's thrown at trans people, a prominent politician talking about the woke agenda is not acceptable, and it's not acceptable for the left. It's also worth pointing out that he ran 2 campaigns in Rochdale, one on Gaza, but he also ran one on social conservatism. Now, these weren't 2 main tenets of his campaign that was clear for all to see. He had 2 different leaflets, as you can see. They look very similar on the surface, but the content is very different. And it almost seems as if he's running 2 parallel, invisible campaigns, only for a certain subsection of people to see one and a certain subsection to see the other. One of them is obviously on Gaza, but the other one is talking about family, social conservatism, a man is a man and a woman is a woman. It's a real shame, because if Galloway was a social progressive, he'd be even more popular. He'd unite the left, and I would have backed him. But I have strong beliefs. I'm a social progressive. I reject transphobia wherever it comes from. So no, I will never support someone like Galloway. And it shouldn't be lost on people that he voted Tory in 2021. He's hung around with the likes of Steve Bannon, who's an actual fascist. No one that calls himself a leftist should be within a million miles of someone like Steve Bannon. And it's important to talk about this because good people on the left are supporting him, and I think it's misguided. I think it's clear he's an opportunist. He desperately wants to be back in Parliament. I mean, the amount of by-elections he's fought makes me dizzy. He doesn't care about local issues or local constituencies. His contact rate is appalling. National politics is obviously hugely important for being an MP. I mean, you're part of the process that writes the laws on national politics. You're part of the national conversation. But I don't think you should stand as an MP if that's all you care about, with no love or regard for the local area. I mean, that's part of your main job, to go to Parliament and represent your constituency. Now, contrast Galloway to Jeremy Corbyn. Corbyn is loved by Islington North, and that is because he is an incredible constituency MP. Even if you loathe him, even if you don't share Corbyn's politics, no one can deny he serves his area well. And the same can't be said for Galloway. I think it should be very clear that he's an opportunist that uses a single issue to get elected. Now, granted, the single issue is a very salient one, so at least it's that. Now, there are some positives to this result, and that's Labour. It's incredibly cathartic to see Labour and the Tories squirm, because Rochdale put up a giant middle finger to the establishment parties, and it is thoroughly deserved. Now, Labour will, of course, try to contextualise this loss, come up with every possible excuse, but guarantee it won't be one of introspection. They'll attack Galloway, some warranted and some not so much. But the truth is, Labour have been utterly disgraceful. They have sided with Israel every step of the way, and they have gaslit critics. Now, the only change I can see from Labour is their rhetoric shifting a little bit, but nothing on substance, which they've done that before. It started with Starmer saying on LBC that Israel has a right to cut off electricity, food and water, something that should bar you from anything that resembles power. In fact, I think he should have resigned as Labour leader for saying something so profoundly evil. Then they clearly saw their internal polling showing the loss of support for Muslims, and they shifted. They came out and said they supported a ceasefire, which is obviously a load of rubbish. I mean, they suspended 4 councillors a couple of days ago for supporting a ceasefire. So yes, I can see Labour pretending to be more pro-Palestine, but it doesn't mean anything since you cannot trust them to do the right thing. So I do really hope that George will be a good advocate for Palestine, despite my personal dislike for him, because no one from the main parties is going to do it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm, and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month, and if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity, and thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.